So everybody, Stephen King is once again trending, and I noticed this tweet before he was trending, and I replied to it, and so perhaps I made a trend. I was a small part of that, small part of Twitter history today, February 23rd, 2022. He chimed in, of course, on the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and here is his just brilliant brilliant take. Mr. Putin has made a serious miscalculation. He forgot he's no longer dealing with Trump. Now, I mean, the perversion of logic is really incredible. I mean, it's just like shit lib pablum. Yes. Oh, Biden's tough on Putin. Trump wasn't. So he made a mistake because he thinks he's still dealing with Trump. The just logic defying pretzel of a brain that this guy has doesn't even realize. Just look at what he's saying. Mr. Putin has made a serious miscalculation. He forgot he's no longer dealing with Trump. No, it's actually that he did this perhaps because he's no longer dealing with Trump. Not because he forgot he's no longer dealing with Trump, but because he's no longer. This would be like in the Old West, right? The badass Clint Eastwood sheriff, right? No nonsense, gun you down in broad daylight, make one false move, motherfucker. He comes down with like dysentery and dies. And the new sheriff in town is this fucking effete weakling, right? Who's like 1 foot in the grave already. And then there's like a string of bank robberies. And the guy in the barber shop says, these bank robbers made a miscalculation. They forgot there's a new sheriff in town. No, they're doing it because there's a new sheriff in town who's much weaker than the old one. And that's probably why, at least partly, I'm not a geopolitical expert here, but it seems like logic would have it that Trump, for all this nonsense about, he's in the pocket of Russia or, he's a stooge for Putin. Putin didn't do this until Joe Biden took over. And, that is not to entirely blame Joe Biden for what's happening now. But the Afghanistan withdrawal going the way it did was a major green light, I think, for, a competing, wannabe imperial power to make a move. And I'm not sure this would be happening under Trump. So anyway, Stephen King, as usual, completely backwards and wrong.
It's always really it's surprising and disappointing that Stephen King is this much of a shit lib because, to write as well as he does, look, Stephen King is not gonna be in the canon of great literature, but within his parameters, he's a great writer within that. You have to have a certain perspective on the human condition. You have to have a certain perspective on social dynamics, and to write as well as he does, you have to have a certain grasp on human nature and humanity. And it's just amazing that he's just such an MSNBC kind of shit lib whenever he chooses to pontificate on these matters. I mean, he's of his generation. He's a very typical boomer in his politics. Note to progressives: you look like children scrabbling on the schoolyard. Like, he's such a fucking rich boomer asshole. It's sad. It's sad that that's who he is at his core. It's one of those things in the long line of great authors with just batshit politics. He's the Rudyard Kipling of horror. just have to overlook his politics to appreciate Carrie.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe wherever you saw it, on YouTube, on Rumble, or on Facebook. We have channels on all three of those platforms. Also, consider helping us create more content by becoming a member at patreon.com/do-dissidents or on Facebook, where you can become a supporter right through our Facebook page and get bonus content every week, as well as call-in access to our live stream shows. Thank you very much for your continued support.